how Nigerian terrorists use TikTok, exploit country's digital governance gap.
Perhaps we should start right
with
there.
that, yes, because of some things we've seen in the past days about how terrorists, we've been seeing their videos, those who are on TikTok, they've been sharing their videos. But this report says at the center of this challenge is digital public infrastructure, the foundational systems that enable government and citizens to interact securely and efficiently through digital identity, payments, data exchange, and trusted communications. That's a lot of grammar, but let's take a bit of that report just so that you have a clearer picture of what we're talking about. A week after the Sadiko-led Boko Haram faction killed and abducted more than 170 women and children from Woro in Kaima, Kwara State, the terror group released a video on TikTok mocking the government and accusing it of deceit and infidelity for downplaying the number of kidnapped victims. Now, the 90-second video was shared on the Chinese-owned social media platform by a handler identified as Abu Muhammad Abba, a coinage that could be genuine but is more likely a pseudonym, as is common within jihadist circle. Now, shortly after the clip went viral in February, both the video and the account disappeared from the platform, suggesting that the account may have been deactivated or the content removed. A recent check, however, showed that the account, likely created in 2025, has resumed disseminating propaganda messages and sermons by jihadi ideologues, including late Boko Haram founder Mohammed Yusuf. Now, this is coming against the backdrop of what we've been seeing in recent times, how that terrorists had a live session on TikTok and some Nigerians were on there dropping their account numbers and asking the terrorists to show them love.
I'm trying to see if we can get that video for you so you can see that, because I was alarmed. I felt like, have we deteriorated to this level?
To that level?
So the terrorists would usually go on TikTok lives in the middle of the night, from what I understand, between 12 a.m. and 3 a.m. And then they're talking, and then Nigerian youths, Nigerian normal people who are not criminals or who claim they're not criminals and are just ordinary Nigerians are joining these live messages. In some cases, you find people asking them to leave Nigeria alone. In other responses, you have people saying, how can I join you? But in the one that was very obvious and was quite alarming was Nigerians dropping their account numbers and asking the terrorists to fund their accounts in the giveaway that these terrorists were doing.
I even saw one ridiculous comment. I think it was from a lady who said, "Oh, you look very handsome."
So you wonder, is this cruise?
My goodness.
Should you even be cruising with something
with things like this, with the videos that these guys release of how they treat their victims and the heavy ransoms that families have to cough out?
But you see, the point that this article on the Premium Times is trying to put out is there is a gap that these guys are exploiting because of this country's lack of digital governance.
That's right.
It enables people like terrorists and other such bad people who easily go on social media, show their faces, show their loot, and even give. It's like there is a gap that is enabling this to happen. Why is that gap still there in a time where we say we're fighting with everything?
Who is responsible for closing this gap? Which sector of the government is responsible for looking into this? How are they not able to track them even by their social media accounts?
Right. And the arguments about how people who insult the president easily get picked up, but much as we can lay a heap of blames on the feet of the government for what they're not doing, you can obviously see in this particular instance how Nigerians themselves can be culpable and are also, I don't know.
I was talking to somebody. He said, everybody who dropped an account number should be picked up.
There was this guy. That's the video I'm trying to look for. He participated in the giveaway, dropped his account number. He was credited with 100,000 naira, and then he claims that he got an email from the terrorists saying that they want him to send them 100 million naira.
I saw the video. I thought it was just cruise.
he was begging. I don't think he was crying.
But
I think
even if it was cruise, I mean, this cruise thing that we do, especially with like serious matter on the front burner. You see Nigerians making skits, funny jokes out of it. Even on Twitter, you see people making funny jokes. Like maybe somebody says, I'm looking forward to a road trip in Nigeria. And then somebody will come and say, Yowa, Damburuba. Alluding to the fact that, okay.
I didn't see that coming. Okay.
Alluding to the fact that we are waiting for you in Nigeria.
Okay. That was funny. Legend. And there's the argument that people make these videos, these skits, because that's all they can do, really. The matter is very serious.
We say it's a coping mechanism.
Exactly.
Right.
We have to find ways of lessening this emotional burden that we all carry from realizing that we are on our own.
We're cooked, right? But another argument that if we continue like this, then the government will not take us seriously.
Right.
They would say, oh, look at the people who we think they are not sleeping.
That
look
right
at them making jokes and laughing.
Is the major point. Because I know how outraged Nigerians were with the kidnappings that happened in Oyo State. People calling on the government, both state and government,
everybody
to do
was
something.
on it.
So how can you then, realizing the enormity of this crime and the effect and the impact it has on the family members, the society, the immediate environment, come on live TikTok and be asking someone that collected money, that this money is blood money. They collected it from victims who were kidnapped, who probably died still. And then you're coming and you're dropping your account for them to give you a part of the loot. What does that make you? I mean, you can, on your free time, disparage the terrorists and call them names, but how different are you from them when you actively ask them for part of that money when you know the source of the money?
So do we want to blame them? Do we want to blame the economy for that? Or is this just some moral decadence that we're experiencing? Because there is no world where anybody who is sane would say that is right. Because on the other corner, there are the victims and their families, the ones who were lucky enough to survive the ordeal. They're still going through therapy. Some of them are still unable to sleep. Some of them, their families have not recovered. And then they see people who are cruising with that situation.
Right. So, I mean, we're just saying this to point out that much as the government has a responsibility, the citizens also have a responsibility. And we do not see a lot of that being showcased with this kinds of acts on TikTok. You can call the government out all you want, but if you degrade yourself to the limit of asking money from terrorists, doesn't that also make you a terrorist supporter or sympathizer in some way? I mean, I know that there can be arguments for why people do that and whatnot, but can we really condemn the government for inaction when we in ourselves act in the way that we do?